And welcome to the Phoenix Suns Solar Panel Show. I'm Tim Tompkins.
I'm Greg Esposito. Ahoy, hoy.
And I am Dave King.
And today on the show, we are going to recap the game, the box score, the Suns versus the Clippers. We're going to recap the team stats, players of the game, ballin' and fallin', Monty's rotations, where the race for the eighth currently is, and where the Suns sit in the bubble as of the time of recording this episode. And of course, we got to talk a little bit of TJ Warren. Let's go ahead and let's get right into it. Greg, let's talk about this. I have to tell you, this game, what I was most worried about was, so I've been absent the last couple of episodes because I've had to work and those sorts of things. I'm on the East Coast. Time hasn't really worked out. But every single episode, you guys got to go up after a Suns win, and I thought, I know that the first time I get to jump on for one of these post-game shows, that they're going to end up losing to the Clippers and the complete mood of the podcast is going to be different. And everyone's going to blame that on me being here.
Oh, yeah. You wouldn't be invited back if they had lost today. Devin Armani Booker.
Get this party started.
Devin Armani Booker. Oh, my gosh. The 117-115 win. And honestly, it looked like they were going to blow it. I'm just going to be frank.
No. It did not look like they were going to blow it.
In that last minute and a half.
Wait. No, Kawhi Leonard looked like he was going to win it.
Okay,
that's fair. It did not look like the Suns were going to blow it. The Suns made no bad plays at the end of that game. Kawhi Leonard just made better plays. And it just so happened that Devin Booker made the last and only necessary play. Actually, you know what? Right before that last play, the Suns had to keep possession, right? Mikal Bridges, I think, was a big part of that last steal, if I remember correctly. So, I mean, they made the right plays at the right time. That's what mattered.
They really did. I mean, they came up big. And let's be honest, that last shot was about as cold-blooded, as big of a superstar shot as you're going to get. Paul George, Kawhi Leonard right there on Booker, does a spin and nails a jumper to win it at the buzzer. There is nothing better that you're going to see from Devin Booker. That was insane. And the feeling you have right now, the feeling we all have right now should remind you a lot of what we felt in 2010 when this team made a complete surprise run in the playoffs. I'm going to say it, and I may have to eat my words later, but screw it. Phoenix Suns basketball is back. That is excitement, and that's what meaningful basketball means and is. And it was insane to watch. There's not a better word to describe it than that. It was pure joy to watch that from wire to wire.
This is a bit of a meaningless question, but do you think the refs would have called the foul on Paul George if that shot would have missed?
Nope, not a chance.
He fouled the hell out of him too.
Not a chance. They wouldn't have called it. It would have been overtime. Booker was just clutch there. And then just his reaction too was just like, "Yep, I made it." Like it wasn't like he was even surprised.
No, he said after the game that he doesn't like celebrations. If you ever watch him make big shots, he just walks away. He doesn't celebrate, but he didn't have a choice because he was on the ground, so his teammates just piled on.
Yeah, great.
And Monty, Jermaine commented that props to Monty for not calling a timeout. Monty said he really wanted to call a timeout. His nature was to call a timeout with that last shot, but then he said, "No, I'm going to trust Devin."
It was the
really
right
happy
call.
about that. Yeah,
it was the right call.
But if Devin would have missed it, or it would have been like a no shot opportunity, if it would have fallen apart, it wouldn't have been the right call. Come on,
still would have been the right call because it kept the Clippers on their heels. It did not give them time to set up a defense or get to where they wanted or force a guy anywhere that they needed to be.
It works out. That's all I'm saying.
I understand, but I would have been. I was 100% with Monty with that. Even if Devin had missed that shot, it's the right thing because if you give the Clippers a chance to set up their defense, force the ball into somebody else's hands, you got the ball in the hands of the guy you want to take in that final shot. And I don't care if he was double teamed. You wanted Devin Booker taking that shot, and that was the exact reason why he did not panic.
Devin Booker on that shot. You need Devin Booker on that shot.
Well, look, too. I mean, it was not.
Was the game danger? It was in grave danger. Grave danger? Grave danger, yes.
Look, most guys panic in that situation when he can't get the first look that he wanted up. And most guys don't spin or have a chance to make it when you spin like that. Devin Booker was big time, and he definitely lived up to the be legendary statement that Kobe gave him, or said his last trip to Phoenix. So unbelievable. The national stage better, or the national media better be taking notes on what they're seeing from Devin Booker here, because we called it. We said it when we heard they were in and that they were going to be playing 8 meaningful games. This is where Devin Booker's coming out party is, and we're seeing it right here. Today was the first big step in that. You're going to see that play a lot on SportsCenter tonight.
Yeah, VS in the chat says best game of the season, right?
Oh, easily.
Oh, yeah, easily.
But until next game when they win, and then that's the next best game, because they have to basically win all these to have a legit shot to force that play in. So the next win will be the best win too. But as of right now, hell of a game, hell of a win, and that was the best we've seen in a long time around here.
Hey, we have a couple new flaming ballers right now. Morton, as well as I got Munson. He says Booker's reaction after the shot, cold-blooded.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Hands down. I mean, just laying there, not moving, just looking. Yeah, that was it doesn't get any more baller than that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's the kind of reaction that is Jordan-esque.
For the first time in years, I'm back to my.
I don't know what Dave's trying to say. I don't know if his internet's stalling or what, but
no, we're good. Let's run over.
Well, now I'm stopping. I'm not going to interrupt you anymore. So,
hey,
Greg never stops talking.
Let's go over the box score just a bit. Leading scorers for the Phoenix Suns: Devin Booker, 35 points on 52% shooting. Ayton did have his bounce back game. I know everyone really wanted that. 18 points on 50% shooting. Ricky Rubio chimed in 18 points as well, 50% shooting. Dario Saric had a really strong end of the game for him. That stretch down the fourth was really impactful. 44%, 13 points, and worth noting. Off the bench, Cam Payne with 12 points on 56% shooting, really solid. Over for the Clippers, Kawhi Leonard and Paul George led the team with 27 points and 23 points respectively, and of course Zubac somehow had 18 points in the game.
Hey, you forgot we got a name for this segment, and we gotta have fun with this name, because I haven't brought in a graphic for this bad boy. All right, we've got What's in the Box, right? It's time for What's in the Box. And we got to talk about the box score and everything that is inside this beautiful box score.
What's in the box?
Whenever you can use a great GIF like that, you got to use it in the show.
So let's talk about the best on-off numbers for the Suns. Ricky Rubio was a -10 on the court. Cam Payne was a +14. Was that something you saw reflected in the flow of the game itself?
I'm surprised Ricky Rubio was a -10, because that dude was dealing all game long. I thought he was really, really good. He may not. He also had to go against the Clippers' best players, but definitely I thought Ricky Rubio was better than a -10. Cam Payne being a +14, he played against the other second unit, So, and basically what that meant for the Clippers, who played one of Paul George or Kawhi Leonard the entire game. Was basically just when there was only one of them out there, Cam Payne got in. So Cam had a great game tonight. I want to keep Cam Payne around for the rest of our lives. So I think that's just pretty fun watching him actually really succeed. He has said only the right things since he showed up. He is totally humble. He's like basically Monty Williams' muse on the court, as far as just humility and just wanting to do the right thing. He's playing defense like crazy when he's out there. He got a really good steal at least one really good steal out there in the game. And it was just fun to watch. I mean, he had some really nice dump offs right around the basket too when he was driving in, dumping it off to a big for the finish. I thought Cam was really fun to watch.
The Ricky Rubio thing is really deceiving, because he again made those plays that kept this team calm, even when the Clippers would make a run. He had that brilliant 4-point play. I mean, I was impressed with what he was able to bring to the court tonight. But then again, most nights I am with Ricky because he's just a consummate professional, and I love that his jersey now says Justice Rubio, as if he is a Supreme Court justice, because he certainly was ruling the court there for sure. So I was very impressed with what Ricky Rubio was capable of doing tonight, and then Campaign was amazing too.
I think the Rubio thing is because he was playing those into the quarter non-Booker minutes with Ayton out there.
Yeah, probably. Buck Dog, one of our flaming ballers in the chat, says Ricky threw some crap to Ayton, though, to be fair. Okay, but when we've seen some of the G Leaguers also trying to throw passes in the post to Ayton, I'm a little forgiving when Ricky has a few that don't look great. But yeah, Campaign, too, has looked really good. As a backup point guard, he's solidified that position. I think it's a big reason why the second unit hasn't cost them games in these first three. I mean, that's really what you need the second unit to do, is not cost you games.
And that's part of what I wanted to talk about as well, was really, do you think that Cam has solidified himself as a backup point guard? If you look at the minutes distribution tonight, the only other backup point guard to play was a fan favorite of ours. He only got 10 minutes this game, Javon Carter. And that's a pretty big comparison to where the Suns had been with as far as like minutes per game.
Yeah, I think it's certainly that's kind of what we're looking at in terms of the rotation is going to be Campaign, with Javon Carter coming in as that kind of that third guard to play defense. I mean, he's in there to play defense and bring energy, and that's what Javon Carter does best. Had some huge plays in that Dallas game that helped them hold it down the stretch, and I think he played solid again tonight. But that's your backup point guard rotation right now. I'm hesitant to even bring Baines into this group because they've clicked. They're gelling right now.
Oh no,
something special's happening.
Oh no! Don't go down there. We can use an upgrade over Frank. Frank himself will tell you he's not playing very well right now. So if we can get Aaron Baines in there for some minutes and take a little bit of Frank's time away, that might be good. Frank actually made a 3 in this game. I might have yelled louder at Frank's made 3 than I did at Devin's made jumper at the buzzer. So, but I really could use a little Aaron Baines.
Yeah, I think I scared the crap out of my 3-year-old when I screamed at Devin's.
Oh my God.
She's not real used to that. I might have
scared my neighbors. Yeah.
Not real used to me getting excited about Arizona sports. There hasn't been a lot of opportunity since she's been born in the last 30 years for that to happen. But tonight, this afternoon was certainly one of those moments that Daddy yelled a little bit. All right.
All right, so let's talk about team stats. Let's talk about
Daddy yells.
Team stats a little bit. The Clippers did out-rebound the Suns 48-44. Suns did out-assist the Clippers 25-21. Suns had 5 steals compared to the Clippers 2. Suns had 0 blocks compared to the Clippers 3. 2 fewer turnovers at 8 compared to 2. As far as field goal percentage goes, Suns shot 46.9% compared to the Clippers at 49.4. The Suns shot their 3-pointers were 53% from the field tonight, 17 of 32, below average at the free throw line, only 71%, which is a bit of a low point, specifically for the Suns, who are the best free throw shooting team in the league. I think, but to shoot 53% from 3 on 32 attempts, I mean, it's hard to lose a game when you're shooting that well from behind the arc.
Oh yeah,
it's funny. Okay, go ahead, Greg.
I was just to say, yeah, especially when your opponents aren't. I mean, that's a given, that a recipe for success. If you can shoot the 3 well and your opponent struggles in that, you're going to wind up having a result like we saw tonight.
Lucas Hahn, who used to run the SB Nation, Clips Nation, that had been around forever until that change in law in California had basically Vox Media shut down all those blogs that come out of California. So now he runs at 213hoops.com. Anyway, he messaged me that the Suns are, even this season, through this season, they were over 500 when they shoot even just 33% from 3-point land. They were 500 team. So it's really important that the Suns make their threes, and it really helps having Cam and Mikal Bridges both able to drain from outside. Cam had you know what? I'll give Cam a break today. He did make one of his 5 threes, but he got 7 rebounds, 2 assists, and a steal. And he had to basically be the other guy besides Mikal who was defending Paul George and Kawhi Leonard most of this game. So I give him a ton of credit for staying in the game plan, not losing his head. And it's okay that he didn't score a ton of points for the Suns, but having those guys as threats on offense is huge for the Suns' spacing needs. Now, Ayton did have a pretty good game, but he also had a pretty bad game. He felt like the moment was a little big for him. It seemed like the moment was a little big for DeAndre Ayton. He didn't catch the ball cleanly on players diving to the hoop and or passing it to him. He didn't separate himself. He certainly didn't try a whole lot of physicality. So it's obviously a learning opportunity for Ayton, and one of these times he is going to break out.
I love that this was a bad game from DeAndre Ayton. 19 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists, hit a 3 to keep the defense honest. Like, he still was heavily involved in the win and building that lead. And it's still, to your point, Dave, wasn't anything spectacular from what we expect and what we know this guy can do, but still came up in a big way there. But I mean, the story of the night is Devin Booker. 35 points on the night was huge. I mean, and those buckets down the stretch too. And just overall, Devin Booker was just spectacular from what we saw, and a stat stuffer yet again.
Hey, is anyone else as surprised as me that Ryan McDonough has reemerged from the depths of hell to be a Twitter troll, and all of his tweets are about TJ and Devin Booker, but he conveniently forgets to mention all the other dudes he took in the top 5.
But okay, don't you do that on your resume too, Dave? Do you put the things that you didn't do? I don't think there's a section on Dave King's resume that says screwed up at the nursing home and XYZ died. Like, but you don't have that on your resume. You say, hey, I run this nursing home.
Shouldn't he be a little above that? I mean, obviously he's giving up on just.
Let's be honest. This is the guy, having been around this guy, and this is a tangent, and I don't know why we're doing this now during one of the biggest wins we've seen in Suns history, but in Suns recent history, but we'll go there anyways. Ryan McDonough has always had a great sense of humor. Nobody knew that though, because they didn't actually get to see it. Ryan has always been a very funny, self-deprecating guy, and he's basically trying to make fun of himself. So I'm fine with it. Welcome to Suns Twitter, McD at McD NBA, who he can have NBA in his name, unlike other people on Twitter. Hint, hint. But welcome to NBA Twitter. It's fun to have you around. So.
Exactly.
All right, so let's talk. The Suns did win the first 2 quarters of the game. They ended up losing the last 2. Do you feel like they let off the gas a little bit in that second half?
I think the Clippers just stepped up on their own gas. In the third quarter, they came out clear. Okay, so the first half, the Clippers took a bunch of jump shots, and they rarely drove to the rim. In the second half, Paul George decided it was going to be his bowling ball effort to be basically Luka Doncic in this game and drive and draw all the fouls. And then Kawhi did a lot of drives in the fourth quarter. So I think that's what happened is the Clippers, what was really fun is that it looked like the Clippers were really actually, okay, now we got to go ahead and win this thing, and they still didn't win. So I think the Suns held their composure. They could have fallen apart a couple of different times when the Clippers got back into the game and got the game tied or within 2 points, or they might have even taken the lead by a point at one point. But the Suns never lost their composure the whole time. They just stayed with it, and I think that's a big testament to Devin Booker and Ricky Rubio and Monty Williams and the guys they brought in this offseason. Those guys did not panic, and I thought that was really fun to watch. But yeah, the Clippers, I think in the second half, they just decided they were going to play as hard as possible, and they weren't going to jack up a ton of threes. I want to look back at that.
Well, they also weren't hitting their threes.
They weren't hitting their threes, but they didn't keep trying either. So they just started driving to the hoop, and to their credit, they ended up with 27 free throws to the Suns 14. But that was definitely, the Clippers were trying to win that game. They weren't exactly sure how to beat the Suns because the Suns were always beatable, and so they weren't sure why they were behind the whole time, I think. So that was pretty good.
Look, certainly it was not the Suns letting up in the second half. That's what happens when you play one of the top teams in the Western Conference. I mean, everybody's saying it's them or the Lakers who are the likely finals representative from the West. So that second half is what good teams and what great teams do, is they come back, they fight back. I think what happened was the Clippers took the Suns too lightly in that first half. The Suns played near perfect basketball to bring up that lead. And then the Suns were able to match the Clippers' energy down the stretch. And that's a huge step for this team, because they now know they can go toe to toe with the big boys. Like Mavericks, okay, that was a nice comeback win, but the Mavs are hit or miss. They're not an elite team in the West. They have nice pieces, but they're not great. The Clippers are up on that pedestal with the Lakers, and the Suns just said, not only to themselves, but to the NBA world, we can compete with this. This schedule is not too daunting for us, and that's huge, because we have not seen that in meaningful basketball. We saw it at the beginning of the year, but we have not seen this in meaningful basketball in about a decade, so it's nice to see it now.
Dude, the Clippers have so many big wings.
Yeah.
I mean, it is stupid. It's so
Lou Williams is drooling.
Everything horror in the YouTube chat right now. He says that Gambo said that they're looking to keep Dario Saric and keeping Kelly around.
Okay. I mean, that makes sense. We've talked about it. I don't remember if it was with you here or not, Tim, but I think the shortened off season and free agency period that's coming up actually benefits the Suns, as well as the lesser cap number, because that means there's not going to be as much money out there on the market for Dario. So he may take a more team friendly, maybe 1-year deal to come back and be that sixth man with this team the following off season, when the cap is expected, if they can recoup earnings next year, to increase. So hopefully they can get him on a favorable deal. And Kelly's a toss-up. I think if the right deal comes along, they'll look at moving him. But we got meaningful basketball. We don't have to worry about the off season right now.
Right. Let's just focus on the here and now. I know it's really fun to talk about the off season, and I appreciate you guys always asking those questions in the chat. But really, I think we should this is the first time in many years that we've been able to enjoy today and not worry about tomorrow. So let's just enjoy today.
So speaking of enjoying today, what I really enjoyed watching was Kawhi Leonard and the Clippers trying to do everything they could to get Mikal Bridges off of them at the end of the game.
Yeah, they did so many switches and picks and all that stuff. Exactly. And Mikal Bridges is such a good defender that everybody just gets frustrated playing against him. Exactly. And they did that with Luka last game too, as well. So, shout out to Mikal Bridges for being the dude that the other teams get out of their own offense to get switches for. And you know what? Big shout out to Cam Johnson for not embarrassing us defensively, because Cam was usually the one who ended up on Kawhi or Paul George or whoever it was that needed to after the switch. And Cam did a respectable job. You can't stop those guys. Kawhi Leonard is an MVP level guy. Paul George was in the MVP conversation just a couple of years ago. You can't just stop those guys. All you can do is hope they don't beat you in the end of the game. So I just thought that was really fun.
Let me ask you this, on a level of 1 to oops, I just crapped my pants. How scared were you when Devin Booker went down when he hit knees with Zubac? Because that was the moment where I had complete and utter panic and went, here we go. Finally, Arizona sports is showing up. This is what we expect. The Jenner Kardashian curse is real, is what I was thinking. So.
Oh, absolutely. No, I was worried about that too. But he did walk pretty quickly off to the side without a limp. So it's one of those. It's got to be one of those shockers where you're just like, all of a sudden I can't feel anything. I get that with ankles all the time, and then a minute later I'm fine. So yeah, no, I was worried there, but I don't think I've yelled louder than I did when Booker made that buzzer beater today than I have in a
Oh my God. I scared my
time.
dog, man. I scared my dog.
And it's also a new weight loss regimen too, because I used to lose weight. I get so nervous during Suns games during the Nash years. I finally got so nervous. My palms were sweating. My feet were sweating. Yeah, it was fun. It was so fun.
As I said, Daddy's got to yell is basically what I had to say to my 3-year-old. I just
out of context, that's a worry.
Exactly. Yeah, but I was just like, that's a visceral reaction. It just happens when something that exciting comes apart.
Daddy's got to yell.
Daddy's got to yell. That's my new marketing tagline. But look, Coda Kid in the chat wants to know: is this the best buzzer beater we've seen? Probably not. I mean, there was the shot heard around the world in the 1976 NBA Finals.
You got to go 50 years.
But, there was the Chapman one-legger, but which was a playoff game, and
that was only to tie it. And they ended up losing that game.
True, they lost the Core Hurd shot too. So big game winner. Technically it wasn't a game winner, but Barkley over Robinson to move to the Western Conference Finals. I think he hit that with 1.7 left on the clock.
It's quite possible we're just drunk with the energy right now, thinking a regular season game buzzer beater is almost as good as these great shots in the finals. I think Barkley over Robinson and that was maybe a little bigger. Tim Thomas, Western Conference Finals. Heck yeah, that was the best.
Marbury in 2003 against the Spurs. Was a great one too.
Mm-hmm. There's some big ones.
These don't feel like regular season games though. That's the thing.
They don't. Because they feel like playoff games, pre-playoffs.
Yeah. I mean, because they basically have to be for the Suns, and we had such a long gap since the actual regular season because of coronavirus that this just feels like the playoffs now. This is just that exciting. So,
Tim Thomas was the first round of the playoffs, but it still feels like something incredibly big.
Yeah.
Raja Bell tying it up in the second round against the Clippers, also sending it to overtime for the Suns win in that necessary Game 5 was huge too. So there's some big but not recently. There have not recently, although Devin Booker has made a half a dozen buzzer beaters before. They haven't been in meaningful games like this because he hasn't had a chance.
Tyler Hughes versus the Celtics. No.
Little tie.
I remember that.
Tie.
All right, let's let's get back to the game. So Monty 9-man rotation tonight.
He's been going with that.
Yeah, so no Ellie, no Javon, no Ellie, no Ty Jerome, no Shaq Diallo, obviously, no Aaron Baines, no Kelly Oubre Jr. Do you think that we have what's the likelihood that we're going to see Baines or Oubre appearance? I know that we had talked about if the Suns start this off hot, there's a better chance that we'll see Kelly Oubre play. There's some debate about Aaron Baines, but what's your guys' take now that they are 3-0 officially and the hottest team in the bubble, which hopefully the NBA will have them better than 19th best?
I think it'll be more likely we see Baines and maybe even next game than we see Oubre in any of these 8 games. To be honest with you, everything we hear is Oubre. This is a mental thing. That's what's going on with him and why he's not playing. And I just don't know that you're going to overcome mental hurdles in this kind of an environment and with what's going on. If he really is that concerned about re-hurting himself, I just don't think we're going to see him here unless the Suns shock the world. They make it into a first-round series against the Lakers. Then maybe Kelly finds a way to overcome that hurdle, but I don't see it in these 8 games, to be frank.
Yeah, no. Aaron Baines' only issue is conditioning, and he's got to get to the point where everyone feels like he's ready to play in a game. So it's not a problem with him. Kelly, he has said several times it's both mentally and physical. He's got a $sign in his Twitter name now and his Instagram name. So I don't know what that's about. There might be some weird shit going on, but I will say that Devin didn't go out of his way, but he mentioned Kelly as one of the loudest yellers and cheerers on the sidelines during these games. He said it right today after that buzzer beater and doing his post game that that Kelly was one of the loudest guys there all game long. And so Kelly is still a big part of this team. They still really believe in him. He's just not playing right now. So if he does come in and play, that'll be like icing on the cake. But right now he's not playing, and it's okay. Aaron Baines, hopefully he'll play again soon, but that's okay too. I'm good with the guys they've got. And Tim, you first asked if this is a 9-man rotation to stay. Yeah, I think it probably is. I think if Aaron Baines plays, probably Frank doesn't, because Monty knows what he wants from his starting unit. He knows what he wants from his rotation. He's comfortably settling into, we need to win games. Now, if the Suns get eliminated, which at this point I think is pretty unlikely, I think the Suns will play hard all 8 games now, because they're 3-0 and they're within a game or so of 9th place. So I think the Suns are going to play hard the whole time, and I think it's a tight rotation.
Buck Dog in the chat, man. I want to know what you want his mask to say. That's,
I want one that's got a digital display so he can change what it says based on his mood and what's going on.
I'm surprised they haven't come up with those yet.
I'm sure it's coming. I mean,
what, like Ennis Cantor?
Just an LED panel that can run through whatever he types into his phone.
All the different messages. Oh yeah, type it into the phone. Exactly.
Look, I don't think there's any doubt that Kelly is a great influence on the benches and is a great teammate in that way. I don't think there's ever been question about what Kelly Oubre brings on that front. And I don't think, if this really is a mental hang-up that's keeping him out, that it has to do with any ill will or anything like that. I think the guy could legitimately be afraid to try to ramp it back up after an injury like he had in surgery in such a short period of time after a weird rehab. Like, I get it. A guy's concerned about his future. So I don't hold it against Kelly, and I'm glad he's there cheering these guys on in that way. I think that's important, because he can be that moral support. But if we're talking about somebody that could potentially have an impact in the rotation, it's probably Baines. And I think the only way we see more than 9 guys is if there is foul trouble with a Deandre Ayton or a Saric, and you're forced to play Kaminsky and Baines more minutes than you probably like in this situation. That's the only way I see this rotation really expanding. I think Dave's probably right. If Baines is ready, you're going to see Kaminsky drop out and Baines take his minutes there.
Greg, do me a favor, or Dave, whichever one wants to take this. Go ahead and talk about the Flaming Ballers, a private Facebook group we started, and I'm going to put a link in there for everybody into the chat over here for everybody that is a Flaming Baller, so they can request to join.
Yeah, so our Flaming Ballers, right? Those are everybody in the chat that you see, little Flaming Ball logo. If you're watching on YouTube, anybody that's joined there, or anybody that supports us via Anchor, our podcast stream, we've got a new Facebook group that's starting up, obviously on Facebook. It wouldn't be a Facebook group if it were anywhere else, but it's going to be private just for you guys. We can run some AMA podcasts where you guys will ask us questions, and only you'll get to ask them there. We'll record a podcast answering those questions. We can do those kind of things. Lots of opportunity in this group. Tim's going to put it in the chat. So if you are a member, you can request to join there. We'll confirm that you are a member of the Flaming Ballers, and then we'll get you in the group. And Buck Dog says Espo needs to go into merchandise. Well, I think I'm going to try to start with some Flaming Ballers merchandise. We'll get you guys some gear that maybe you can.
I think that's awesome. As long as you just go with 1 M when you do the Flaming Ballers.
Instead of Flaming Ballers, the Flaming, it's Yao's brother.
So to that note, also, if you are a supporter of the podcast, like Greg was saying through Anchor, we will have that in the show notes below as well. I don't want to spend a ton of time on this. Just, a couple of minutes. We're coming up on a half hour in the show here. A couple more segments left to do. Greg, before we get into TJ Warren, though, you had a tweet of the game.
I do have a tweet of the game, and now I'll actually show you guys what this tweet of the game is. And it's really a simple tweet here. And I think it just sums up what we saw there in the final minutes. It's just Devin Booker laying there after the final shot, cool as can be, with be legendary. So I just thought if anything encapsulated those final minutes, it's this tweet. And
that is absolutely perfect.
It's like a piece of art. Like the
That's
Suns could hang this in Talking Stick Resort Arena after the renovations are done, and I would look at it
that
like
as a poster in my. I want someone to. I want someone to draw that. Like you guys can see behind me, I've got an MJ and Charles drawing. The buddy of mine who makes these drawings. You got to make a Devin Booker one. Got to do it, man. This is awesome.
I think just a drawing like that on a shirt would fly off the stands. And like I said, merchandise, I'm going to get into that. So that'll be one of the things we'll do here. But I thought that was a perfect tweet. We'll get into some Suns burns in another episode where we actually kind of rip on people from Twitter. But I thought we had to recognize somebody on Twitter for just a picture perfect, beautiful tweet, because Devin Booker definitely is living up to that be legendary moniker.
You know what? And I wanted to talk about TJ Warren a little bit. I wanted to talk about him earlier today. I kind of feel like, you know what? The Suns just won. Let's skip this for like an episode where the Suns don't win a game, because eventually it's going to happen. You guys want to talk about where the Suns are in terms of the standings and that race for the 8th/9th seed for that playing game?
Yeah, I can actually pull up the standings here. If Dave, you want to start talking about it,
we can definitely talk about our next game. So the Suns play the Pacers on Thursday. They go against TJ Booker and company. TJ Booker, listen to me. TJ Warren and company.
He's scoring like he's Devin Booker. Right
he's
now.
Tony Buckets. Devin had some really positive things to say about him. He was asked about TJ Warren in the postgame as well today. Look, TJ has always scored well. And you know what? Mike Vigil of the Timeline podcast and Reddit and Twitter fame and all that, Mike Vigil made a really good observation that it looks like the bubble may be the perfect environment for Tony Warren Jr., for TJ Warren, for Tony Buckets. Because TJ always never liked the media, never liked the limelight, never liked attention. When he says, location, he just goes in a gym. Well, that doesn't mean he's playing with 18,000 fans in the arena. He really feels more comfortable when it's just him playing basketball. And the bubble might be the perfect situation for him. So the Suns' next game is against the Pacers. TJ has scored 53 and 34 points in those two games. TJ is basically the same guy offensively that we remember, except from his final season when he was making threes. He really expanded on that. He's not taking necessarily more threes now than he used to, although in the bubble he seems to be taking a bunch. Because he only averaged 3 a game in the regular season until they restarted in the bubble, and then he made 9 on Saturday. TJ is really awesome. Offensively, he scores when you don't think he's going to score. And defensively, he's really stepped it up for the Pacers. So I'm excited to watch TJ because that'll be like the best actualization of TJ Warren we always wanted. And I'd like to see how it goes against the Pacers. But while the Pacers are a really good team and they play with heart too, and they play strong and they play effective, they do not have Domantas Sabonis in there. He's got plantar fasciitis, and so he's out. But they do have a really good team around him, and they are also, I think, 3-0 or 2-0 at least, if not 3-0.
2-0
okay.
Right now. So,
all right. So they're going to do real well, and that's going to be a tough game to win. The Suns hopefully won't have a mental letdown.
And it does look like Oladipo will play in that game he played in the last one. So that's big.
Yeah, Oladipo is not 100%. I did a podcast with their indiecornrows.com, their podcast guy, and Oladipo is playing pretty well. He's not playing his old self yet, not playing like his old self yet, but every game is getting better and better.
Yeah, which, I mean, it would be nice if you got lucky enough to not see Oladipo in there for the Suns, but they They just beat the Clippers at full strength. So I guess you take them as they come. TJ Warren, look, we all knew that TJ Warren was capable of scoring. I mean, that's why he was scoring. Warren and TJ
Warren.
buckets.
There's another one. Yes.
You know, there was just there's never been a doubt that TJ Warren can score the basketball. I think this was a win-win for both teams. And yes, I made a lot of cash consideration jokes on Twitter because it's funny. It's fun to joke around that they got TJ Warren, but I don't remember who it was. I think it was somebody on Twitter brought up the fact that I don't think it's the Suns that necessarily look bad. I think it's the fact that 28 other GMs didn't make a better offer than cash considerations for TJ Warren, because it was basically a given that TJ Warren was going to get moved. Too many wings on this team, younger guys with more potential behind him that needed opportunity, and McHale and Cam, and then Oubre's emergence last year and with this team as well. A lot of reasons that it just, you were going to move on from TJ Warren. It was a win-win. They cleared space for their guys. They got the money to sign Ricky Rubio in the offseason that they needed. It cleared the cap space, not necessarily that the cash considerations went to that, but it cleared the cap space to bring Ricky Rubio in. So I think it worked out the best for everybody, and TJ Warren's in a situation that he can blossom because they needed him to step up with Oladipo not playing at full strength. They needed a guy who can score, and the Suns just had a lot of guys that can score. They needed better defense, better rebounding, the little things that he can do. What I did find interesting was TJ Warren in his 53-point game hit more three-pointers than he did in his entire rookie season with the Suns. So you can see an evolution in TJ's game, and they're going to have to play good defense on him in Thursday's game if they want to try to contain him where they don't have him drop 40 or 50 on them and put them in a situation where they have to fight that much harder to get a win against Indiana.
Well, I feel like the Suns are in pretty good position, though. But again, look, Indiana's a tough team, and the Suns could easily lose that game if they're not focused. But TJ Warren is not Kawhi Leonard or Paul George. For as good as he is, he's not those guys. And Mikal Bridges is in pretty good shape to defend him, because that's what they'll do. They'll set him on that. And look, the Suns ended up pretty good out of the summer, and that's the most important thing. Off of the thing is, James Jones did not put all those deals into one to make it look like an overall deal. He sold off TJ Warren, he sold off Josh Jackson, and swapped Anthony Melton for Javon Carter. That was a swap. But basically, he sold those guys off. He sold off a couple of second-round draft picks, which didn't really matter on the salary cap, but to do those deals so that he could make the room for Ricky Rubio. And anybody who thinks Ricky Rubio wasn't worth it isn't really paying enough attention. I think Ricky Rubio is definitely worth getting him for basically the combination of TJ Warren and Josh Jackson, and then bringing in Cam Johnson and Dario Saric as your forwards instead. I think the Suns won the whole thing. But yes, if you look at individual transactions, if you're going to be that guy, then yeah, the Suns lost that TJ Warren transaction for sure.
Well, let's talk about what's coming up. All right, like how far the Suns, how they're looking in the standings. Right, I do think it's funny when we get down to this bottom team right here. So the Memphis Grizzlies, 32-36, holding that 8th seed. Portland Trail Blazers, 30-38. San Antonio Spurs, 29-37. The Pelicans are 29-38. The Suns are a half game back of them at 29-39, and they are a half game up of the Sacramento Kings, who are 28-39, which honestly I find kind of amazing that the Suns had to win 3 straight games and the Kings had to lose 3 straight games for the Suns to be up a half game out of that final spot.
Look, it is what it is. Okay, Espo, you can go first again. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, if you look at this, the thing that, yeah, okay, so they're bunched up with the Kings and everybody here, but they're a game back of being in 9th. They're a game back of being where they need to be to force a play-in game. They're only 3 back of Memphis. I mean, sure, the Kings are still within shouting distance of them, and they had to win 3 to hop them, but they've also gained ground everywhere else they needed to, and nobody thought this was possible. If I had told you, going into Game 4, you were only a game back of the 9th seed, you would have probably said, yeah, sure. That's just not going to happen the way all this math works. Well, guess what? They're beating the odds here in every way, not only starting 3-0, but what's happened in front of them to create an even bigger logjam. I mean, one game back of being in that 9th seed and sitting in a position to force a playing game is mind-boggling when you consider what we were talking about just a handful of weeks ago when all of this bubble talk started, and it was, why are the Suns even invited to this? Well, now you know why the Suns were invited to this, because they can make some noise.
So what we need is the Blazers to lose some games, really.
Yeah.
Dave, go ahead.
Okay. So Monty's been talking about the whole time. They are here to play serious. They're not here just to come and have fun. Like everybody says, you got nothing to lose. Every single post game, either Monty or one of the players gets asked by a national guy who happens to be on site, either an athletic person or an ESPN person. So are you guys just happy to get some wins and play some games? And they get shut down every time. And today, Devin Booker got asked after hitting the game winner. The Suns going 3-0, playing really strong against these guys. He still got asked by a guy from the Athletic, are you guys just happy to be here? You got nothing to lose, right? Is it fun playing with nothing to lose? And it's like, and Devin immediately just turned to him and said, because he was on site there, so he turned and he's like, people say we got nothing to lose, but we don't think about it like that. We have games to lose and we have games to win. And that's why we're here. I thought that was a pretty damn good response. And then he also said about the upcoming schedule. Sorry, Greg. Let me just finish up real quick. These are the top teams in the NBA. The schedule's really hard. It's really hard for a reason. We're taking them one game at a time, and we're trying to collect the most wins that we can. I think that is exactly the right attitude.
Agreed. And I think that comes directly from Monty Williams. I don't think he would ever let these guys be in a mindset of, we have nothing to lose, because then that means a lot of people, when they have that kind of mindset, feel like they have nothing to really gain either, because, well, whatever, we're just here to have fun. We're here to try to just play some ball. Well, I think Monty's made it clear. You have a lot to lose here. You have a lot to lose in terms of how people view you within the league, and you can gain a lot in that too. And I think if Devin Booker gets asked that question again, he should lay on the interview table and just give the look he hit after the game winner. Basically, screw you. I'm just too good to deal with this crap kind of look. So
I think it's incredible. The Suns, they're about to hit 30 wins on this season. I know you guys talked about it a bit on the last episode, but the fact that they're about to hit 30 wins on a shortened season, no matter what happens, this was an absolute success. And to your point earlier, Dave, about Monty Williams, I was thinking of Igor. And I don't think Igor, for as good as he was, even if we kind of felt like it was unfair to blame the loss of last season on him, I don't think that he could have done this if they would have stayed with Igor heading into the season.
I just think Monty has the perfect attitude for these guys. Now, is Monty going to be a guy you want when you're a finals contender? We don't know. But he's certainly the perfect guy to get you over that hump of being a pretender to a playoff, contender. So he's got the perfect attitude. Look, every day is a new day. Every game is a new game. Monty even commented, let's see. He was already, that's it's an amazing feeling, yet I'm already turning the page. That's the mentality we have to have. He's already thinking about Indiana. He's like, those guys are having fun in the locker room, but I'm already thinking about the next game because we're playing these one game at a time.
Speaking of celebrating in the locker room, did you see the reaction from the Suns players? Booker had stayed out to do what I assume was probably the NBA TV post-game interview.
Fox Sports.
Or was it Fox Sports Arizona? I was prepping for the broadcast, so I didn't see anything. So when he walks in the door, and I'm gonna see if I can pull up the video. When he walked in the door, the team is sitting there waiting for him, and they just start dumping water bottles on him. Like they're freaking out. I
didn't see that. That's awesome.
Like it's amazing, and that it was fantastic. I love the camaraderie of this team. These guys love playing with each other right now. They love playing as a team, and I think that speaks volumes to what Monty Williams has done in terms of culture change. And we've heard lip service about culture change for years around here, right? Monty Williams, from an inside the team perspective, has changed that culture. I won't speak to the rest of the organization. We've all talked about, we've talked about in the past what we think that that may or may not be. But from a team perspective, together as a group, they're cohesive. Yeah. They believe in each other. They want to be there for each other. Yeah. And I love that right now.
The Booker's quote after getting mobbed by the guys after making that game winner, and Greg, you posted that tweet. His quote is, "I'm not a big celebration guy, but they caught me on the ground, so I couldn't get away from them." The energy these guys bring, it's fun. It's a fun team to be a part of. And this is the same Booker, and I talked to him about this. I haven't written down his entire quote yet, but I will for an article tomorrow. Booker, oh yeah, that's an awesome celebration there you're sharing. Booker did talk about Kelly Oubre and all that. It's just really it's really fun. But I asked him, look, you've had to do all these post-game pressers and talk about close losses, and you've had to say at least 3 times in the past 2 years, look, it's been really hard to win here. We're just trying to get this right. We're just trying to get in the right mindset and the right atmosphere. And they're finally doing it. And this is really important for this team to be 3-0 in the bubble. I know it's just 3 games, but it's huge for this team to see this success with the guys that got brought into the bubble with them. So they can, and Monty has said this the other day, they've done years worth of team building in just this couple months in the bubble because they're 24/7 with each other. It's like being away at summer camp. It's just so fun. And these guys really are on each other's side. Yeah. Watching the celebrations just gets me all hyped up again.
I could just sit there and watch that. I love that, Darth in the chat as well.
Yeah.
Friend, the bubble is promoting a team first attitude and fortifying the culture, which is ideal for a young team. Now, I totally agree. And Buck Dog in all caps, I think he's been typing in that the entire time in the chat, says positive vibes in Suns Nation right now, loving it. And it's so true. I mean, I don't remember a time where 3 straight shows we got to come on and actually be genuinely excited for what we were.
Hold on. This is their when's the winning streak of the season.
Yeah, when's the last time the Suns won 3 games in a row? Honestly,
it's actually technically 4, didn't they? I don't know. No, maybe it's only 3.
Let's just be honest. It was probably before we started doing this show, and that's
right. I think it was, man. I think it was. I don't think that they've won 3 straight since we started this podcast 3 years ago.
Technically, they did. They won 3 straight at the beginning of the year when they started 5-2, but it was such a we only did shows once a week, so I don't think we have done 3 straight wins like this.
Oh no, that's why it feels. We certainly haven't.
Yeah. We haven't done well. They've always lost by the time we record.
There's 100% chance of that.
We're finally putting forth effort is what we're saying.
What's really anybody that's been listening to this podcast or YouTube show now, whatever, for a long time, head on over to our Facebook. We posted a link of our very first episode, and in that episode, there was a lot of Alex Lynn and Eric Bledsoe.
Counting on these, there's the core.
PJ Tucker. There was a lot of PJ Tucker talk.
And what else do we have to talk about? This is the first time we've had
that's
good
Stockholm
basketball.
syndrome, man.
Wow, that was fun, man. So the next game coming up on Thursday. I'm chalking it up as a win. I think there's little to no chance that they could win 3 of these games. Hi, Scar. Win 3 of these games and then not. Okay.
Well, now every game matters. It's so fun because, and they showed today they could easily have lost this game today. Easily. And they didn't because, man, Kawhi Leonard went all MVP on us. You know, he'd scored 4 straight times. They kept tying the game up and the Suns didn't panic. So with the Suns not panicking today, not folding, like the Mavericks helped the Suns the other night by folding on their own, and the Suns just had to clamp down their the squeeze a little harder. Today, the Clippers did not fold. It was the Suns that won this game. That is the biggest development for this team in a very long time. So you're right, Tim. I think they're going to finish 6-2 at least now. I was hoping for 4-4. I remember I was like 4-4. I'm happy with that. 5-3 would be ecstatic. Now I think they can go even better. And I really do think they at least get into the play-in. I'm calling it now.
Wow.
I don't ever want to hear Dave say squeeze a little bit harder again.
Just squeeze a little bit harder.
Well, you know, sorry, go ahead, Greg.
I love the optimism from both of you, and it's nice to actually be able to feel that way going into this. And win or lose on Thursday, this was a huge statement game, and I think it gives them the confidence to continue to play and play hard throughout these 8 games and try to find a way to close that 1-game gap between them and the 9th seed right now. And with the way Memphis is playing, who knows how this could play out? I mean, you could wind up having a Portland Phoenix play in rather than Memphis being involved if they keep
that's true, especially they lost I know it's come up in the chat a ton, but for people just listening to this as a pod, Jaren Jackson Jr. on Tuesday tore his meniscus, and so he is out. Memphis is gonna have a hard time. They're already 0-3. I don't know what happened in today's game, but man, they're having a tough finish. And so it is, you're right, Greg, it is possible. In fact, you know what would be worse though than what you just said, Greg, would be the Suns having to play San Antonio for the play.
I love it. Bring it. Let's take on the old demons.
Oh, God, those guys are come on.
If you're going to make the run, exercise the demons of the past. Go all at it.
Jesus.
Right? Let's just buy it.
They're the Walking Dead.
Look, if there's ever a time for craziness and unexpected to happen, it's when we're playing basically playoff basketball in August because of a global pandemic, an economic crisis, and civil unrest. If there's ever going to be a time the Suns do something completely insane and shock people, it's right now. So let's just buy in and have fun with it. All right.
My parting comment is going to be, I really want Zach Lowe to do a big mea culpa. He's already kind of turned around on the Suns. He's got to write his article this week for Friday. He spent a lot of time when the field went to 22 teams, just railing on why are the Suns even there? There's no point the Suns being there, blah, 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 blah. This is ridiculous. He needs to spend at least as much time mea culpaing on his podcast and or article or both.
Hey, there's a lot of people that need to get in that line because a lot of people.
Yeah, but Zach's the only one who's going to really do it.
So no, Zach is high quality like that. He's
high quality.
I think that's probably what we got. We got about we're about an hour in, Tim. So if you want to end this thing so you can go to bed, since it's like God knows how late in Florida.
It's a whopping 8:00. So
at this age, that's like 3 hours past bedtime. So
thank you everybody so much for tuning in to the postgame show. We are going to do this again on Thursday, just after the Pacers game as well. So for myself, Greg Esposito, Dave King, thanks for joining, and we'll see you again on Thursday.
Thank you.